Hey, this is Angela from My Church Pro, and today I want to talk about pews versus chairs. We work with a lot of different churches, and some of them are older and they've had pews for many, many years and are trying to decide if they should transition to padded seating. And then we also work with young churches that are buying older churches and are inheriting pews, and whether they should keep them or not is always a discussion. You can almost always guarantee that you will increase seating capacity by 20% when you get rid of those pews and add padded chairs. This is probably contradictory to what you would think, because with a pew there's just more space, and so you just think you can cram more people into each row. However, human nature kind of works against us. We always don't want to sit too close to someone we don't know very well, and then probably overcompensate and leave too much space between us. And so what ends up happening is you get significantly less people in each row than you would with padded chairs. And that's really because the padded chairs give us a designated space. It gives us a line, if you will, between one person and the next. And believe it or not, people are willing to sit closer together when that line exists. So we find that just from switching from pews to chairs, we can get more people in the same amount of space. So I lead worship at a campus that is an extension of a larger campus, and so it's a pretty small campus. We actually meet in what used to be a Catholic abbey that is now turned into a wedding venue, and we rent the space. They currently have pews in that space, but I thought it would be a great opportunity to show you what the capacity change could be if you went from pews to chairs. In this situation, the difference in seating capacity is really, really surprising. So stay tuned and look at these pictures, and hopefully this will help you make your own decision as to whether you want to keep those pews or move to padded chairs. So here's a picture of our sanctuary. There are 26 pews on the main floor. There are 12 on one side and 14 on the other. And because it's not in our nature to sit close together, you're going to see in this next picture what ends up happening. So without a visible line between the seats, the people just choose to sit further apart. So if you look at the second picture, this shows people actually sitting in the pews during a service, and you notice that there is a lot of space between the people. The pew capacity for these pews really is a maximum of 6 people comfortably, but rarely do you ever see more than 5 in a pew. Generally, it will be 2 people on one end and 3 on the other. So really, you're not going to get more than 5 people in a row comfortably. However, if you have a family with children, they might all squeeze in, and you could probably get 7 in a row, although that is definitely the exception to the rule. The other limitation that we find with pews is that you're limited in length. So in this particular situation, they have a wide center aisle that really doesn't need to be as wide as it is. However, the pew length determines that width. By switching to chairs, we could actually narrow that center aisle just a bit and get 8 chairs per row, which is a big improvement. The pew capacity in this sanctuary is 130 comfortably. That's 5 per row on the main floor, but 156 if we put 6 people per row. But on average, when we take attendance and we count the people and we divide by the number of pews, we really rarely ever come out with more than 5 per row as an average, and you'll find that that's pretty typical. We could comfortably sit 182 people if we switched to chairs, with a total capacity of 208 on the main floor. That is an increase of 39% by making the change to chairs. Really incredible change. I mean, 39% is definitely worth looking into whether that change should happen or not. They also have some unused space in the balcony, and I do find that a lot of smaller churches tend to forget about unused spaces that could actually provide additional seating in the sanctuary, and this balcony is a great example. Right now there's about 10 chairs up there, and sometimes volunteers will sit up there after they have served in their section or greeting people, but there is a lot of space up there, and if we maximized that space, we could increase that 10 to 24. And if we could get 24 chairs in that balcony, then that would raise our total capacity and total seating capability for that facility quite significantly. So our current total capacity is 166 with 6 people per row. The potential capacity with padded seats and using the balcony jumps to 232 people. And this is really a significant change. If you're using the 80% rule, you would still be able to sit 185 comfortably with padded chairs compared to the current average of 134. So still a very big improvement. The biggest obstacle with switching to chairs we find is expense. And this is where the decision really gets a little tricky. We find that adding a second service does not tend to add much expense. So if you are overcrowded and you need some capacity for visitors and to grow, adding a second service is usually the best way to go initially. Where we really find that significant change is when you try to add that third service, because then you are starting to break into needing additional volunteers. Most volunteers are willing to stay for 2 services, but that third service can really add a whole new level of complication and need for volunteers, and so that can complicate the situation. Also, you want to make sure that your staff is not getting overextended, and then also if you're paying people like musicians or childcare workers, things like that, your expenses could go up there as well. So if you're deciding to go to a third service, that is really the point where you really want to look hard at adding those padded chairs, because you would be able to stay in 2 services and create capacity for more visitors and newcomers and be able to grow without adding that third service. So that is where we really see the benefit of adding padded chairs. It's really important to consider all the ramifications of this change and how it will impact your church specifically. Whether you should go from pews to chairs is really an individual decision, and it can also be a financial decision. But hopefully this information will help you in that consideration and help you make a great decision for your campus. We love working with churches and helping them decide what is the best approach and what is the most efficient approach for growth. We are pro-pastor, pro-church, and pro-church growth. If we can help you in the decision in how to reach more people, how to get more people into your sanctuary, and how to continue the growth that you've already experienced, please feel free to reach out at mychurchpro.com or email us at info@mychurchpro.com. We are praying that as you watch this, that your church will continue to grow. We want to continue to see pastors flourish and churches thrive and more people know Christ. God bless you. Check out our YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook. We would love to connect with you on any platform. Have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.